88.5 Sof FM 9 after the hour. And yes, it's now that time to present you with an exciting discourse with Mr. Johnson Leon Simon. He has already joined the chat room. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. As always, it's awesome joining us here. Good morning to you, sir. I'm unable to hear you. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sorry about that. Good morning to you, and thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And we have to look at a change in a few hours, if I must agree.
Yes, it's currently 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock here in California.
Thank you. We saw you here recently, though. How was your trip getting back home?
Getting back home, it was kind of sad because I wanted to stay in St. Lucia longer, but as usual, you have to go back home to your family and to work. It was a long flight, about 15 hours to get back home, but the trip was worth the long flight. Yeah, so.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And on the heels of that as well, what brought you back home? Excitedly, we had this interview where you spoke of an upcoming sports program as well and a summer program.
Yes, I mean, first of all, let me say good morning to the listeners and viewers on social media. Um, I mean, Soufriere is my hometown. As the song says, no matter where you go, you always come back home. Um, and being from Soufriere, as we all know, Soufriere is a special place, community bonding, lots of family and friends. And there's this unique thing about Soufriere that any visitor who comes there falls in love. So being from Soufriere, even if I'm living overseas, as if I could come to St. Lucia 10 times for the year, I will come down 10 times. And every time I get a vacation break, I try to come down for as long as I can, see my friends and family, be in the community, and then with the program, do whatever we can as an organization to help our community.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Again, just to reiterate for persons who are just joining us, say good morning to you. The foundation recently hosted a sports tournament. What was the main objective behind this event?
I mean, the main objective of not just the tournament, but of the Yatar Sports Foundation is to keep Michael Casaubon's vision alive, his dream for Soufriere in terms of community development and youth and sports. So as an organization, we try to emulate his legacy, his thought process for the development of Soufriere. So we decided to create this foundation to engage the youth into social programming that is positive. They could have that bonding with their peers and friends and have that community interaction. So as an organization, it's not a very difficult decision for us to make in terms of creating events, partnering with other community organizations or community leaders to bring social programming to the youth. Because now more than ever, with all the distractions of social media, the internet, peer pressure, we need to redirect our youth into positive activities.
Thank you for that. I could not have agreed more. In terms of the sports, what was really featured, and tell us about the participation among the young people. Were you satisfied?
Oh
You
yes.
all smiling?
Um, oh yes, I'm always satisfied with whatever I engage in or I engage with others. It's not about the numbers, it's about the impact. During my tenure at the Soufriere Foundation, we did a number of workshops, leadership, public speaking, business development, dance, theater, whatever it was. And I was not expecting the conference room to have 100 people. Even if it was 10 or 5 who showed up at the workshops, I would be satisfied. These are 5 people that can develop themselves through what we have presented to them. So when you look at the sports program that we had, it was more of a social interaction, sporting activity for the young children in Soufriere. And it was really well attended. It exceeded my expectations because during that period, there were lots of activities going on. You were still in that, Soufriere was still in that carnival vibes mode going on. There were boat rides, parties, activities outside of Soufriere. So the community was, dissected over many events. But in Fontaine-Jacques, I must say the community of Fontaine-Jacques came out in large numbers throughout the sports series. We started it off with the netball um, on the 18th, Coach Vern and the Little Sisters netball um, group. They put on a really nice netball tournament, well supported, man. The skills of these young ladies under the direction of Coach Vern and I think Queen Shango also was there. It was really good. And then you went down, the second activity we had was the cricket. It was a cricket match between um, Soufriere cricketers, mainly from Fontaine-Jacques, under the direction of Coach Ayo and Coach Dalias. And then you had coaching legends like Kiefer Prosper and his brother Win Prosper and Avon was the umpire. And it was a really good, entertaining cricket match. You'd swear it was a T20 St. Lucia Kings versus another country playing. That's how much excitement was there. And we played against Balka. So the travel to Soufriere was really good. And then we get to the main sport of Soufriere, which is, well, cricket is the main sport in my mind, but the most popular participation one, the football. We had free football tournaments over that series, and just like the other sports, it was well attended. Um, we had that over 3 days, and then we just culminated with the basketball tournament hosted by the Soufriere Kings and the Soufriere Basketball Association at the basketball court this past weekend. So, in terms of participation numbers, um, I've not gotten the numbers from the basketball tournament, but from those I witnessed personally, I would say in terms of participation, we had over 100 youth participate over the sports series, and it was of all ages. We had young children as young as 8 playing football and the netball and also the cricket. Yeah, so it was really good.
Thank you. And even seated here, hearing you speaking with so much enthusiasm as well, this definitely would have fueled you to again have that carved for next year.
Oh yes, we're already in the planning phase. We've gotten some sponsors who have contacted us for next year. They want to come on board and make it even bigger. So we're very excited for next year. Um, in terms of the youth of Forces Jacques, I was that's why I'm so happy because the youth of Forces Jacques showed me a passion that we've not seen in youth and sports in a long time. They said if they could play the sports series every weekend, they would come out every weekend to play. That's how much they loved it. And there are so many people to thank, but I'll do that a bit later when we get into that segment. But yeah, very satisfied.
Thank you. At this moment, what were some of the highlights and memorable moments from the tournament?
Uh, if I could start with the netball on day one, um, the moment we contacted Coach Vern from Fontaine Jacques, coach of the Little Sisters Netball Academy, she did not hesitate. She was all on board, sharing ideas, recommendations, and we said to her, "You know best. You do everything you know how to do. You're the professional here. We're only providing support in terms of the awards and the organization, and she did a magnificent job. We came to the venue after we set up, and she handled the entire tournament along with Queen Shango and the rest of the team, and it was really good. Um, and also, similarly for the cricket and the football, we got support from the community. This gentleman named, well, not this gentleman, this community leader, Godwin Prosper, I must say, he did not have to, but he was there over the entire sports series from the morning into the afternoon, into the evening, helping us set up commentary. he did commentary for all the sports except the netball, which he came late on that day. But he was there every single day. And what impressed me the most about him in particular is that he was not part of the organizing team. And there was this one day that he came from town and he looked to his right and saw the sports was happening. He got off the bus, came to me and say, "Hey, I just got back from town. I'm gonna go drop off my stuff and I'll be right back." And surely he came right back and he picked up the mic and he was on there commentating. And there are many other people. I remember there was this gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he was this dreadlocks gentleman. He lived right next to the field. He was there every single day. Even whilst we were setting up, he was already there and he cheered on the children for the entire sports series. And we had no choice but to crown him fan of the tournament. And we gave him a special award. Likewise, Mr. Godwin Prosper. So I was very satisfied, very enthusiastic when I left for Sejac, and our team we were very excited for next year.
Thank you. Beyond competition, what important values do you hope young people can gain through sports? And previous conversations that we've had to understand that sports can really help you channel in positivity as well.
Yes. Our community historically has been a sporting community, very culturally adapt also. And it has been proven that one of the main activities to engage young adults or young children is cultural, social programming, and sporting activities. Due to the how close we have our plane. Fortunate for us, within Soufriere, we have the mini stadium right there in the heart of town. Many other communities do not have that luxury. Sometimes they have to travel to get to a playing field. So we're fortunate that it's right there. And I grew up right next to the playing field. I could sit on my balcony and watch sports being played, cross the river barefoot, climb up the fence and go into the stadium. So I've experienced it personally what sports can do in terms of motivating a young sportsman. At one time, I thought I would be the next Maradona. Sadly, my dream did not come true. And at one time, I thought I would be the next Brian Lara, play for West Indies. And that did not come true, but I tried. So now that I'm an adult and I'm in a position of influence where I can come back and help my community, I personally and the rest of my team share that conviction. We will do everything we can within our limits and capability to ensure that we assist the community as best as possible so that the next generation of sportsmen, community leaders, educators, cultural activists make it to the level that will be desirable to them, whether it's within the walls of St. Lucia or outside the boundaries of St. Lucia, wherever that passion may lead them, we must be that supporting cast that helps get them to the next level and achieve their dreams.
I concur 100% as well. As far as the sports tournament, I just want to say kudos, a job well done. And I'm looking forward to the 2027 edition of that aspect as well. Um, to share a little, not diverting, but then the summer program, what activities and opportunities were offered to participants as well?
Well, in terms of our summer program, it was primarily focused on sporting activities. In between these sporting activities, you had a little coach mentorship, and that's leadership development, socialization, discipline, um, interaction. And I did not interject. I stood on the sidelines and watched the coaches in action because I'm a supporting cast. I'm not there to lead and dictate, but to provide on behalf of the Michael Yatar organization a supporting cast. And Richard Jean was there also, Mark Henry and the rest of the team. Um, and you could tell that the coaches have a dedication to these young children, whether it was in the netball, cricket, football, or the basketball, you can see it. And that's what we need within the community, because too often we think of leaders as political um, personnel. either the district rep, prime minister, the mayor, or someone running the SRDF. And what we need within the community is for these persons in these leadership positions to provide avenues so that the next generation of leaders can rise up and help manage the community. you know a teacher is a leader, a pastor is a leader, a club president is a leader. We have many leaders in different sections of our society, and if they can be given the support, the whether it's financial, in kind, or verbal support, or just showing up and participating from the sidelines, that gives every sportsman, every coach, the passion and dedication to say, my efforts are not going in vain. I may not get paid, but I know I'm doing a good job because my community is standing on the sidelines, cheering on my children on the field, or telling me, good job, coach. And it's not about winning. Whether the coach wins a tournament or not, the fact that he or she has offered themselves to help our young children, they should be recognized, whether by a thank you verbally, or if it merits an award at some ceremony. But what we want to focus on as an organization is not to dictate or come in and say, this is how things should be done. Rather, if you have an idea, whether it's sporting or community wise, and we can partner, you can write to us, and then we can provide whatever assistance. And likewise, when we host our programs, we would like assistance from other community organizations to help us achieve our goals and objectives.
Thank you so much for that. I'm just loving this one, and I think I should nicely ask for the olive branch to be extended. So, can the PMA Club write for a few projects that we will be undertaking as well? Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat one more time?
No, I said thank you so much for that. I'm just loving that part. So, we at the PMA Club, are you going to extend your olive branches to us for undertaking a few projects that we are looking at? The PMA
Oh
Club.
yes, oh yes, and that's what I just mentioned. That's the kind of collaboration that we need as a community, and not necessarily look at who's leading, whether we agree with, and not just the PMA. I'm talking about like throughout Saint Lucia. Is don't look at who's leading, but look at what they're trying to achieve. You may not agree with every single decision or how it's done, but we have a duty as community leaders to provide support, because we're not doing it for ourselves to get credit points. We're doing it because there's a generation that we need to keep on track. And I saw during the carnival season that y'all had the PMA carnival ban, and I followed it over YouTube, and it was really good, really organized. And I can tell that the children who participated in the carnival band, they did not only show up for carnival, but they've been active within the organization, learning about the pitons, the history of Soufriere, climate resilience, keeping the community clean, and all the other aspects that you may put in there to educate these young children. Because sadly, we can say that a lot of people who grew up in Soufriere may not even know about the historical aspects of Soufriere, you know. So it's good that the PMA is undertaking that at a youth level, and by the time they turn into young adults, now their children can be recruited within the PMA. So great job to Miss Joni Polit, you yourself, Miss Epifan, you're in there, and the rest of your team. Good job.
Thank you. I accept, and likewise to the Yatar Foundation as well. The very same courtesies to you. Let's look at what we see trending if a lot of our young people, and it's just so sad that every day a life is being lost. How do you think programs such as these can really help develop our young people, with skills beyond the sporting arena?
Yeah, beyond the sporting arena, in terms of peer pressure, youth going astray, getting involved in criminal activity, and sadly going to jail. And worst case scenario, they end up in the cemetery, through gang violence or wrong place, wrong time, getting in the midst of the criminal activity. Um, as a community, every time you hear someone loses their life or there's some kind of violence, whether a life is lost or not, it hurts the community. And too often when we speak about crime, we think about how it impacts tourism, which is fair, but a tourist spends 5 days a week, 2 weeks, and they're out of the country. So when we speak about crime, we have to think first speak about the impact on the mental health of the community, those who actually live there, the fear that goes into the residents. Because if residents are not safe or comfortable living within the community, whether no matter what organization or business they work at, they cannot provide an efficient service to the visitors that you're expecting to come to the shore. And that's something that I think we need to have a change of mindset gradually, because our first priority has to be to our community. And once they're taken care of, we now could expand that service to the foreigners who come to visit our shores and provide service. And then in terms of sporting, how sports help mitigate crime, because really and truly, you can't really stop crime, because you could employ 1,000 police officers. They don't know when I'm going to commit a crime. I could just stand there and commit a crime right there, and they can't stop me. They could only arrest me after. But in terms of prevention, what you have to do is put programs that could help people how to deal with conflict management from the household to the classroom. And eventually, when that student becomes an adult and they've been integrated into the workforce or into society, they now can function at an efficient level and make proper decisions. Because too often when people commit criminal offenses, we quick quick to blame the police, the parents, or the school teachers. But then sometimes, sadly, society allows certain things to go beyond our control and it spills over. So we need to strengthen our youth and sports councils. We need to strengthen the youth groups. We need to have the drug-free club. I remember at one point when I was going to school, there was the drug-free club. And we need more social programming that students can participate in. And then our school system, I mean, kudos to the teachers, they're doing a really good job, but they need more support from the corporate community in terms of helping them achieve their goals within the classroom, because that's where we have to start. We have to start within the classroom to um, instill proper discipline and proper social behavior that these children can replicate. And just to cap off that point, one of the problems we've had in Soufriere, sadly, in youth and sports, is the ever since sports was removed under the Youth and Sports Council, especially football, most adult males or teenage males participate in football. At that time it was the most popular community sport. And not to take anything from the St. Lucia Football Association, they're fulfilling the mandate of FIFA as required. But we need something that could bring back community sports back into Soufriere. And football has been a big problem. The fact that football has not been active within the community. Back when Mr. Kazobo and many others run the Youth and Sports Council, football used to be under the Youth and Sports Council. And whilst I was in St. Lucia, we were discussing, a few of us were having a chat, and we were saying when football used to be played at the stadium, the match is at 4 o'clock, and 2 o'clock you already have people at the field waiting for the game to start. And once that game started, it was so packed up that you had to poke your head as a young boy in between two adults to try to see what's happening on the field. That's how much community interaction we had through community football. So I think at some point, as a community, a decision needs to be made. If sportsmen want to play for Soufriere or for their club and they want to be within the FA and be selected for St. Lucia, that's fine. But what about the footballers who may not play for St. Lucia or may not play for Soufriere, who just want recreational football for health and fitness and mental stability, social interaction? What are we doing? So I think as a community, that's the next discussion we need to have.
Thank you so much for that. Very informative, I must say. Taking it back to the conversations where the program itself depended heavily on the coaches as well, and even members of the public to play, their specific part. What's about the parents? What involvement would they have had? Because most of the times we sadly tend to see the children drop by the wayside and the parents are not as involved as they ought to be.
Yes, and that's a common occurrence within Soufriere. You see a lot of young sportsmen or children participating in activities, and the parents are not necessarily present. It's due to many factors. It could be work related. They're at work trying to provide for their family at the same time that this sporting activity is happening. Um, but also parents need to understand. I'm a first time parent myself, and there's nothing more pleasing than when you see your child up there, whether walking in a graduation or participating in a sporting activity or reading a book at school. There's something satisfying about seeing your child do that. And also for the child, when you look around the room and you see every other parent is in attendance and their mom or dad is missing, it could also be a negative factor on that child's emotions because that's a proud moment for them. And sometimes parents think about their needs ahead of the child needs. And equally, there are parents who are very supportive of their children. So, what I would appeal to parents is whenever you can, and you find that opportunity, ensure that you could go to the playing field with your son or daughter, walk with them in town, take them to the beach, take them to the park. If they're participating in a theater play or performance or sporting, come support. Even if you don't stay for the entire time, but let them see you, let cheer them on, and then if you need to move on to some other duties, you can do so. But please be that supporting role because children carry trauma into adulthood. We all have something that we wish we could have done when we were a young child, or wish our parents could have been there for that particular event. And no matter how old you get, that memory stays in your head, whether it's a good one or a bad one, like a graduation. Your mom or dad did not show up for your graduation at secondary school. You could be 80 years old. You remember that one day you wanted your parents to be there and they were not there. So I just want parents to be very cognizant of that fact that your children need that social support, that they could have proud moments and happy moments with you.
Noted your points right there. With that being said, let's look at the challenges the foundation may have encountered during the tournament or even the summer program of itself.
Yes. Despite our successes, we had a very good successful sports series. One of the challenges we had was with promotion. We had a promotion plan, and we did not stay on track with it, but we were able to get it back to a level where we could get promotion out there and have a successful tournament. So moving forward, earlier promotion, get more corporate people involved very early and in the planning phase. Um, in terms of venue, Fontaine Jacques was the ideal venue because at that time there was some events happening at the mini stadium. And I think the mini stadium also would have provided a challenge because of how big it is in terms of attendance. But Fontaine Jacques, being a close knit community, provided ample support and crowd attendance. Um, so, like any other organization, we have our challenges because initially, when we launched the Yatar Sports Foundation, the plan was to have coaches on the field every Sunday or Saturday, working with the youth and sports clubs, providing guidance. That plan is still on track to happen. But in the meantime, due to our limitations, we've been able to adjust and make it happen through verbal conversations and providing equipment support to the coaches where they now could go with their clubs and teams onto the field. And if they need resources, we provide it to them until we could officially provide direct on field support.
Thank you. In your opinion, how important do you think the community support is, for the sustainability of these programs? A lot of the times we see things, definitely foundations, organizations, whatnot, does start up with quite the bang, and then later down the line, um, sadly, it is no longer, for what apparent reason, everything gets dissolved.
Yeah, and that's a reality of our community, and not just Soufriere. It happens throughout the country. You have young people with very good ideas, passionate ideas, whether it's in dancing, theater, artistry. But the financial support is one of the most crippling factors in sustainability. How do you get a community to support a youth initiative, whether it's from a personal standpoint, someone opening a business or have an after school program, or whether from a group or club standpoint? Um, I believe, as like when I try to do as the youth director of the Super Foundation, is, you know, we don't have to dictate what happens within the community. In terms of the Super Foundation, speaking of during my tenure, I try not to tell clubs, organizations what they should do, but rather let them know that if you plan this activity, we will finance it. We will, if you need the tent, you need the payment of the venue, you need the caterer paid, we will provide the support. And that's what, as a youth director, myself and the team at the SRDF at the time tried to do. I'm not sure if there's a youth director at the foundation right now, but that was a really good position that helps support the Youth and Sports Council. And in terms of overall sustainability for the community, too often we have individual organizations, they may have their own personal mandate to achieve based on their vision plan, but there are many areas where we can collaborate and integrate our resources into one budget, and we have that one activity, but there are different components of that activity that each organization can handle and achieve their mandate, rather than everyone trying to do it on their own. So if you look at, for example, let's go to business development. Business development. Do you allow businesses in Soufriere to operate on their own and they seek financing on their own? And if they encounter financial problem, they collapse on their own? Or do we put together a group of businesses that if they're in the similar sector or in a different sector, they could have consolidated financing that could be spread across these 5, 10 businesses. And then there's a watch party or an observer that goes into every individual business and makes sure they're operating at an efficient level that they don't go under. And a similar thing can be done for youth and sports clubs. If if you have, let's say for example, you have one club asking you for 10 balls and another club is asking you for 20 balls, that's 30 balls you have to buy. But as an organization, can you order equipment and make it accessible that all clubs can use? Whether it's basketball, netball, Coach Cabrina wants to do a netball camp, he needs 10 balls. Where does she get the 10 balls from? If as an organization we provide the equipment and it's available, then Coach Cabrina doesn't have to think of where do I get the equipment. Her next task is to plan the activity and say, hey, I have planned this activity. I need two trays of sandwiches, a bottle of juice, and 10 net balls and some cones. And then we say, yes, we can provide that. So we need to have a developmental approach in Soufriere and throughout St. Lucia through integration of resources. It lightens the load.
Agreeing with that as well, I am of the view that organizations as well need to actually work hand in glove and not, in silos. Definitely, we have quite a few organizations right here in Suffolk, but most of the times, for example, if the Suffolk Kings, the basketball team, is actually putting on something, sometimes the PMA club, for an example, were They may not even be aware of such a thing as happening. If the constituency council has planned to have a seminar, sometimes the Soufriere Foundation may not be aware. So we just need more networking because it's a beautiful community, and whatever happens affects or greatly benefit all of us to an extent.
Yes, very true. Very true. And that's what we need.
Yes. Even to that, I want to ask you, what would you like to share with our young people, especially because the conversation or the movement, more or less, it's about the young people. We continuously hear they are tomorrow's futures. They're the hopefuls, So, how could they get more involved in sports, and how can they and build upon their confidence? Because not that they cannot do it, it's most of the times they're afraid to. And we know how things work definitely with your circle. So sometimes if you're not part of that circle and you have that talent, there's no way it's going to be brought to the forefront or be supported.
Yeah, and to your point, that's what we need. We need some kind of, like I said earlier, integration of resources, because sports cannot be effective or efficient over a long period of time without the educational component of discipline, conflict resolution, socialization. Where do you get that? Conflict resolution can be the police, it can be the cadet corps, it can be the teachers, psychologists at the schools. Discipline, you have the teachers again, club presidents, community leaders. If you want to open a business, the same thing applies. Discipline, So every aspect of community development goes back to some core principles. Discipline, conflict resolution, socialization, which is a critical tool. How do people interact? And that's one of the issues that we are facing in Soufriere. Socialization. How do people interact? And conflict resolution is a big part of socialization. You're at a bar, somebody says a comment that you do not like. How do you handle it? Do you walk away or do you confront that individual? You're in a club, you have an idea, the president say, I'm not sure that idea can work right now, we look at it later. Do you leave the club and you say, okay, Mr. President, maybe in a few months we could look at that idea? How do we deal with disappointments and successes? Because success can also lead down a difficult path, because if you become too successful, it may fly to your head, and you may begin to oppress the same people who help you get up the ladder. So in Soufriere in particular, we need an approach where decisions are made with community consultation. And I'm not even speaking about from a political standpoint or SRDF or any other organization standpoint, but just basic decisions within the community. The Youth and Sports Council wants to have a sports tournament. As parents, business persons, people in the media, we come to that sports meeting and they're hosting a tournament. We could say, hey, I know someone who's good with marketing. They can do a flyer for you. I have a friend who has 10 water coolers who can offer it to you. I have a friend who could give $500 towards that sporting activity. We need to start attending these youth meetings, these youth activities, and provide support, because too often we want support, but we remove ourselves from the room. you know it's similar, like a parent may tell you, I need 10 notebooks for my child to go to school, but if there's a raffle and they ask he or she to donate $1 to raising funds for the school, they tell you, wait, pa dollar mo yung gagawin na," not realizing that that dollar may go back to buy notebooks for the child when school reopens. So we want change sometimes, but we remove ourselves from the room to not be liable, but we also want to be the benefactor of that change and development. So what I always say to people, it doesn't matter if you have the biggest house on the hill, you drive the Rolls Royce, the BMW, where does your child interact? Where does your child walk? Where does he or she go to school? They're going to school and interacting with the ordinary man on the ground. So it's not enough to be successful. It's in to be successful in my mind is to make it and look down the street and say, who did I leave behind? Who can I help? Who can I go back and help? And trust me, if I had $100 million, I would spend all of it in Soufriere to help everybody. And not just me. There are many persons within the community. If they were able, they would help as many persons as possible. Because seeing people be successful in whatever form that makes them happy, it also makes you happy. Because when you walk down the street and you see a young man open up a car wash or a business, that's one young man that or young woman who may not rob you or may not break into your home. You see somebody become a teacher, that's one more teacher that could help educate our children, you know? So we need to be happy for others and help support other people within our community to achieve their dreams so that they can come back and help us also achieve our dreams.
Oh, Mr. Simon, thank you so much for that. But I think, and it would be a good thing for everyone, to have that very same mindset as you, to wanting to succeed and seeing others around you succeed. But sadly, this is not the case. People are very selfish. People are very envious. People are full of hatred. So this is not going to happen anytime soon.
Um, it may not happen soon, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Because as when I was on your show a few weeks ago when I was in St. Lucia, there's one story that I shared with you. And it's something that I say no matter where I'm at. I could be at a conference as a keynote speaker or interacting with my students at the school. It doesn't matter if I'm in England, America, my story remains the same and I share it with everyone. I grew up in Diamond. My father was a farmer, mother housewife. When we woke up in the morning, there was no TV to watch or internet, electricity, whatever it was. We did not have the luxury of what my other classmates were having. They were coming to school with Jordans and Nikes and fancy backpacks and brand new uniforms. But the one thing that I appreciated, and I will always be thankful for it, is that my parents gave me what I needed at the time to succeed, what was within their limits for me to succeed. And it was up to me to make a decision of what do I do with what I've been provided. Do I continue to complain or do I take it and make a life for myself? And one thing about making it through life, you can never make it on your own. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, no matter where you are, what position, social status, persons will help you along the way. You can't do it on your own. So when you get up there, you have to look back and see who is currently in the position that I was in and how can I help them. So we had to carry water from the waterworks in Diamond up a hill every morning, every afternoon. No washing machine, no electricity, no TV, homework before 6 o'clock. Nighttime, you have your lamp lit in the house. And that's how you listen to the radio, Lawrence Adonis on Radio St. Lucia till you fell asleep. Now, to me, some persons may look at it as poverty or struggling family, but to me, that's the joy of my childhood, the socialization with my parents, my siblings, and I took a joy walking up and down the with that water. That's the pride of my childhood. Is it what makes me who I am because I understand what these things are, the value of them. So as an adult, whether it's me or anybody else, you make it and you're in a good job, you've experienced these hardships. It's not good enough that you just go on succeeding on your own. You have to help those who are in need, whatever their cause may be. And that's how I live. I don't think that I'm better than anyone. I don't exalt myself over anyone, but I want to live a simple life and know when God calls me home that I've lived a good life and I could die peacefully. So that's what I try to say to everyone. Be a helping hand wherever you can, whenever you can, and help others in need.
Thank you so much for that. 5 minutes to the hour of 12 noon in surface solution, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. At this very moment, I would like you to take the time to thank those potential persons who would have assisted in terms of the installment of the summer program as well as the tournament.
Yes. So as usual, wow, I have a long list, so bear with me. Um, so we started our summer tournament on the 18th of July. We started off with the netball tournament, hosted by the Little Sisters Netball Club of Font Saint Jacques, under the guidance of Coach Vern, and Queen Shango assisted, and also the Font Saint Jacques Youth and Sports Council. It was a partnership with the Youth and Sports Council. In that tournament, we saw over 30 young netballers participate. Um, they received medals for participation. Every single activity that we had, every participant received a participation medal, and we also provided certificates of participation. We had MVP trophies, first, second, third place, in every sport. And for netball, we like to congratulate Coach Vern and Queen Shango and the rest of the team for their assistance in that event. Our second event was football. Um, I'd like to thank Mark Henry. He transported up and down every time I called him. Richard Jean, DJ Kolok, who was our DJ throughout the series. Big up DJ Kolok. Um, to the residents who provided us with the folding tables or electrical support, we thank you. Um, in terms of the cricket, um, we have Dalius Monrose, who's also the cricket coach. I think at the Soufriere Primary for the district. We have Kiefer Prosper, long-standing sport administrator. Wayne Prosper, who assisted immensely. Avon was the umpire. Sanka umpire. Coach Eo, who's the coach of the Fonse Jacques cricket team, the Salty Bus coach, and Mr. Trubetskoy, Yasha Trubetskoy, who provided support also, and the community who came out to support in terms of cricket. We move on to football. Um, the same applies. Mr. Gordon Prosper assisted us. Mark Henry, our supporting cast at the Yatar Foundation, provided the design of the flyers, and the organization behind the scenes. Malia Alexander, who I tormented with updating the flyer every now and then. Um, we had a few sponsors. They know themselves. Some of them have asked not to be identified, due to they feel like it's just their community duty um, to support, and they required not to not be identified, but um, we did yeah, we did have the basketball tournament, which was the final one. We'd like to thank Coach Ross, Coach Junior, Mr. Zion Williams, Gracious Octave, Mr. Gracious Octave, once again Wayne Prosper, and there are probably some personnel in there that I don't have listed, but throughout the sports series, we'd like to thank everyone who assisted, not forgetting my family and the family of the members of the Yata Foundation who dedicate their time. So overall, a well executed tournament. There are improvements that we can do in the various areas. We will make these adjustments in preparation for next year. But we thank everyone who made this event. Not forgetting 88.5 Soufriere Foundation. um, Miss Epifan yourself, I think it's my third interview with you. So thank you for always allowing us the opportunity to be on 88.5, and to the management and staff of the SRDF. Thank you so much.
A minute to the hour. What are your plans for the Michael Yatta Sports Foundation going forward?
Um, In closing, our plan is to ensure that this foundation is not short-lived. We want it to be there for the next generation to to be able to participate and enjoy whatever the foundation puts out there for them at their disposal. And we're hoping that more community partners will come on board. We will make a more deliberate attempt to the next time we're having an event to have more of a invitation to corporate partners into a closed room and present our plan and how they can help us achieve that plan. And the Michael Yatta Foundation is dedicated to his memory. Everything we're trying to do is what he would have done if he was still with us and what he has done whilst he was with us. So we've only scratched the surface of his legacy, and we're hoping that throughout the succeeding months or upcoming years that we could expand and apply to even grants outside of St. Lucia, because as an organization we need that corporate grant sponsorship to help us achieve our mandate and objectives.
Thank you. Well said. Finally, how can parents, businesses, and community members become involved with the foundation? How can they?
Yeah. So when we launched, we had a registration process, but it was primarily for club registration. But with your question, we realized that we possibly need to open it up that any parent can sign up to as a volunteer, or any young person can sign up as a volunteer. Or corporate businesses can enroll as a corporate sponsor and donate, whether in kind or through resources, to helping us achieve. So we will make that adjustment. And like I said previously, the next time we're having an activity, we'll have like a maybe a town hall, maybe with businesses or community leaders or just persons who want to come in and listen, where we could say what the activity is about, its objectives, and how it will benefit the community before having that actual activity. So I think we'll make that adjustment as we go along.
Thank you so much. Now, for your final comments, please.
My fellow comments, I just want to continue to encourage the youth of Soufriere and the residents of Soufriere, and then throughout extension, the rest of the country, to stay positive, support community leaders in whatever activities that we're doing. Reach out if you think that you have a contribution to make to your community. Reach out to those who are the organizing parties and try to offer assistance. And too often we think of assistance as having money to donate, but assistance can be helping to set up an event, helping to organize, organize from behind the scenes, or whatever role that you think that you're capable of contributing or participating in. So stay positive, stay connected, help one another. Our dreams cannot be achieved on our own. We need support along the way. As Bob Marley says, in my final statement now, comment, there's this song that I shared with at the Super Action Theater ceremony, where we did the handover of the drums. And it's a song that I play all the time, No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. And in one of his verses, he says, I remember when we used to sit in the government yard in Trenchtown, observing the hypocrites, good friends we've had and good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future, you cannot forget your past. So dry your tears, I say. And this verse is very significant because it tells you in shortened form that remember as young children when we sat at the stadium, in the schoolyard, in the near the beach, and we shared our dreams and aspirations for ourselves and for our communities. And now that we're adults, we may not have achieved it ourselves, but what are we doing to help the next generation achieve their dreams, that they don't miss out? So that's a song that inspires me, and I wanted to share it. So when you make it, look down the road and see, who can I help? Who can I bring up the ladder with me?
Thank you so much. It's been very instrumental for sure and inspiring. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simon. 4 minutes after the hour of 12 noon in Surface and Ocean, Eastern Caribbean. As I often say to my guests, this is just the first in a number of discussions that we're looking to have as we grow, as we expand, and as we update the listeners as well, and not just the community of Soufriere, but on the grand scheme of things for people to basically be aware of everything that is happening. Yatar Foundation, great incentive as well, and giving young persons an opportunity, to grow confidence and participate in team building, self confidence, and what not. At this time, I must say thank you again. And this is where we say till next time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Simon. To have a blessed and productive one. And of course, on the other side of the continent, we look forward to seeing you here soon. Take care. Listeners, as
Thank you
always,
so much.
thank you. Do have a blessed one as well. Take care. We're
Thank you.
out.